Very good.
Can you see my screen now?
Good.
Good. So I'm Pavel Gol'din from the Shahausen Institute of Zoology in Kyiv in Ukraine, and today I will give a very short presentation about the disastrous oil spills in the Black Sea and the latest one, which is the greatest, unfortunately, the hugest oil spill in the all the history of the Black Sea and its grave consequences on the environment. But first, I'd like to start with a bad, really bad news. Just an hour ago, we had a Russian shelling on the city center of Odessa, the city of Odessa, and the historical hotel Bristol has been damaged, and so that's this breaking news I'm um, reading about right now, and this is definitely affecting my presentation. So here you can see the map of the Black Sea, how it looks like. The northern shore is Ukraine. Here is the city of Odessa. Here is the Crimean Peninsula, and here is the Kerch Strait I would further talk about. Mm, To remind a bit about my previous presentation more than a year ago, there are numerous risks posed by military activities on the environment and the consequences, which might be really very diverse on the both on their source and their consequences, and this includes the movement of vessels, of aircrafts, blasts and missile launches from very different platforms like submarines and aircraft and usual naval ships and so on. And this also includes uh, many types of disasters and ruining, and what I already said about this, there is such a category as other technogenic disasters. So the oil spill is a kind of disasters which falls to the category others, and unfortunately we have this uh, quite recently. The main source of the spills in the Black Sea, these are tankers, so which carry oil products. These oil products, it's not a crude oil, but mostly these are heavy fracture oils or used for diesel and used for fuel in ships and so on, so on, and in railways and so it's mostly a technical type of fuel. And the largest event associated with a spill, a wreck, which led to spills of this type of fuel, there was the wreck of the tanker Prestige, which already carried the Russian diesel. It happened more than 20 years ago in the Bay of Biscay near the coast of Spain, and this was the largest event in human history. And the special aspect why it is different from a crude oil spill, for example, is that this diesel melts at a very high temperature, and this means that now in winter, for example, when the water temperature is around 6 to 8 to 10 Celsius degree, it is not a liquid, but it's a sort of gel, or it might be even hardened, like such kind of black stones. So it is not mostly not at the sea surface, but it is under the sea surface or even near or just above the sea floor. The problem is that in the Azov and Black Sea, this diesel is carried by special types of ships which are really not used for normal maritime cargo, um, because they can operate only in rivers. But Russians still operate them in the Azov Sea, and many of them come to the Strait of Kerch between the Azov Sea, here you can see it, and the Black Sea. So they stay somewhere here in the south part of the Kerch Strait, and here they put their cargo to the normal marine tankers, which operate in the seas and oceans. So this is the place, the southern part of the Kerch Strait is the place where all kinds of these oil spills occur, and 15 exactly saying 17 years ago there had been already a huge oil spill due to the wrecks of 4 Russian tankers, and there were already grave consequences on the shores and waters of the Kerch Strait and the adjoining areas of the Black and Azov Seas. Here I and my student Karina Vishnякova, who is now the doctor and the head of the lab marine mammals in Odessa, we were there, had some observations on the coast of the seashore, and we saw thousands of dying birds and some strandings of marine mammals. So this has been what have we already have been observed, and now 17 years later we had it the next time, and now it is even even a greater event than it was, because at least 3 tankers wrecked, and one of them you can see here, it mm, it broken half by half, and the total amount of the diesel which spilled to the sea is more than 4,000 tons, but actually it might reach 8 or even 10,000 tons. Nobody knows the exact amount, and the the worst thing is that the spill is still ongoing, because some part of the diesel is still stored inside these broken ships, and it continues to spill week by week. So one of the ships, it came in halves. Another one, it got stuck in the shallow waters near the coast of the northwestern Caucasus. And then you can see several days after the disaster, what we could spot from the Sentinel satellite images. Um, the oil spill spread on a very wide sea area, both next to the Kerch Strait here and also in the Black Sea here. So several days after the spill, all the Caucasian coast, this region, the region of Anapa and close to the city of Sujukale, which is now called Novorossiysk, this all area was affected by the spill, and a lot of coast was polluted. Approximately more than 70 kilometers of the Caucasian coast, and it also was accompanied by deaths of 1,000 birds. But then the wind direction changed, and the oil spill also spread across the coast of the Crimea, or the southern coast, to the city of Feodosia, Sudak, Yalta, Sevastopol, then to the west coast of Crimea. And by this moment, some minor records of mm, stranding of particles of the diesel has been already recorded in the coast of south to Odessa, which means that it gone through more than 800 kilometers by sea. So here you can see that the oil spill spots are widespread across the sea, and some of them can be even seen in the southern and eastern parts of the sea, which technically means that potentially by summer all the Black Sea basin and the basin of the Azov Sea can be affected by this spill. Not saying about the biota, which also can intake the oil products, and then these oil products would migrate through the food chain and go to the organisms of the top predators, like predator fish species, marine birds, and marine mammals, and so these all would be contaminated by the oil products and have these products and byproducts and products of their decay in their tissues. Also, what is disturbing is that there are new spills from these ships, particularly from the ship which got stuck in the shallow waters, and now the Russian government probably takes some action to reduce this spill, but it's hard to say if it was successful, and it might be the case that the oil would be removed only by summer or even later. Now the oil is continuing to disperse westwards, and I would say that the event is ongoing, and here you can see that several areas important for marine mammals are affected. First of all, this is the Kerch Strait, but also two other areas along the Crimean coast, and also the Azov Sea, which is as a whole the important marine mammal area, but also the oil spill further threatens the areas which are located westwards and also southwards. So technically, most of the Black Sea important marine mammal areas are affected. In addition, a lot of coastal lands and waters, including many of protected areas like the Opuk Natural Reserve, you can see the picture here, is heavily affected. And as I said, there are numerous consequences, including the health of all top predators, to which humans are also related. So these all can affect the human health as well, as we are consumers of the marine fish and shell and seafood and so on. And this is important not only for marine organisms, but also for humans. And the last thing I would like to finish my presentation with, that we should not forget about other sources of marine pollution in the region, because the city of Novorossiysk, I started to talk about in the beginning of my presentation, is the main base of the Russian Navy now. And here at this Sentinel-1 shot, you can see the traces of radio jamming, the source of which is the Russian Navy, and also the Russian Navy is the source not only for acoustic pollution or light pollution like this one, but also the source of numerous types of chemical pollution, which also accumulates in the water and creates a cumulative effect together with the recent oil spill. And this, taken in its total, this threatens porpoises and dolphins, this threatens marine birds, marine fish, and at the end, humans of the region. That's all for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pavel. If you can stay for a couple of minutes, we have questions. Please, Dr. Deutsch.
Sure.
Please.
Hi, you have speculated that the Russians have engaged in limited cleanup. Have the Ukrainians been able to do that? And is there any international body from the UN or some other source that assumes any responsibility for cleaning up the oil spills?
As far as I know, today there was a meeting, an urgent meeting of the Black Sea Commission, which is the main body responsible for protection of the Black Sea from pollution. This meeting was initiated by Ukraine, so all the members from all the riparian countries came to the meeting, and at least they had some discussion about possible ways of mitigation. I don't know about their conclusions yet, because there was no full press release about it. But as for me, as far as I can understand, the main problem is that the mostly the polluted areas are within the waters, so which are effectively controlled by Russian, for example, Crimea, and also within the Russian territory, and the access of any other international players or agents might be, what to say, either illegal or risky or both. So this might be a problem. But if the oil comes to other areas, like the areas which are under effective control of Ukraine or Georgia or Turkey, then for sure all the riparian countries may unite and send ships for cleaning the sea areas and so on, so on. So that's what is expected.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pavel. Leslie, please, you have a question?
Yes. My question is that I know typically oil floats on water. That's what we all learn in basic elementary or middle school science classes. But I know that there have been cases where in some oil spills, oil has sunk. So I'm especially wondering, since you were talking about how in colder temperatures, the oil, or the diesel tends to be more of a solid or a semi-solid. Does that always stay floating on the surface of the water, or does that also sometimes sink to the seabed?
So what we saw here, that most of the oil has not been seen from the surface at all. And this was a very remarkable feature of this oil spill, because the next day after the disaster, the Russians had helicopter flights near the place of the oil spill, and they reported that everything is clean. And also, if you check the Sentinel-2 satellite images, for example, which are based on visual detection, you see nothing. So almost, if not all the oil products from this spill, they are beneath the water. This is also because of the turbidity of the Black Sea, so that you cannot see, if you spectate from the air, you can see nothing at the depth of 20 centimeters or deeper. And this is a general oceanographic feature for the Black Sea. But after all, nothing is seen from the surface by multiple sources, so can be only radiometrically detected by Sentinel-1 satellite images, or can be visually detected by divers when they go to the seabed. And also the water was it was quite cold, but not enough cold that oil would sink immediately. It was around plus 10 degrees at the place of the disaster, at the moment of the disaster. Now it became a bit colder, and now it is around plus 5 to plus 6 degrees Celsius. So now most of the oil really sunk. And it is expected that it might come to the surface again by spring, when it becomes warmer. I hope I answered your question a bit more or less in
Thank you.
detail, but actually there might be even more details about the behavior of the oil products at this temperature, because it is really quite a rare thing to be observed.
Thank you.
Thank you. That
Thank
was
you.
quite
Thank you very
informative
much,
and somewhat worrying.
Pavel. And if I have any more comments or questions from our viewers and panel, please ask them. We are very, well, happy is not the word, but we appreciate your appearance and report on this enormous disaster, in addition to military, to war events and disasters. Everyone is watching everything that happens. You have now you have our assurance that we here know about it, and we thank you for sharing details. Please, any more comments, please?
Just a comment to echo.
Please, Katerina. Yes.
Yeah, just echoing Victor's thanks for alerting us, keeping us mindful of the horrors of this war beyond the human toll, the loss of habitat, the impact on the food chain. Thank you for keeping us mindful of this. And my heart goes out to you for the loss of life in Odessa today. That has to be devastating. And I'm so, so sorry. I do have a quick question. If gone untreated without intervention, how long does it take for some diesel spill like this to resolve? Is this, we're talking decades, centuries? Like what and I appreciate you educating us about the temperature and the fact that the oil might come back in the spring. This is all very interesting and very sad. How long does it take for a disaster like this to resolve itself without any human action?
As far as I can understand, it can be expected to go after around 20 years. I cannot say for sure or more exactly how long it can take, but looking at the consequences and reports on the consequences of the Prestige oil spill and the previous Kerch oil spill, I would say it is around 20 years plus or minus 5 years, something like this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pavel. We really appreciate your appearance and being a contributor to our program, and we'll make sure you will have the recording link as soon as I can. Please share with your colleagues. We know that many, especially marine mammal people, would be reacting to your name and information, so we will be very happy to help and support it. Thank you so much again, and if you wish, stay with us for the second half of the program, and we wish you everything possible.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Тримайтесь, держитесь. Thank you.
Дякую. Слава Україні.
Героям слава.
Героям слава.
Thank you, Pavel. We move now to our another friend and constant contributor. Welcome, Maryna Lvovska from our nation's capital, which has its own disasters this week. Not so great as Ukrainian, but still very visible. I would say much more visible on our screens. But Maryna was asked to talk about what she and her friends are doing in the DC, and she did this several times on our program over the last 3 years. They have been very active in many, in many senses, because there is a huge propaganda going on, propaganda campaign, and of course in Washington DC, probably much more than in any other city of the United States, propaganda directly from Russia, I would say. Please, Maryna.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for letting me speak today. I will share my screen to go through the slides. And this
Please.
might take a minute. I hope it's visible, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll start with the slides. And today I would like to talk about Ukrainian Cultural Front DC group that have been led by me with my friends in Washington, DC. It started as just activism on Facebook, on social media. I started to see and recognize that behavior of Russian community did not in overall, right, in many occasions did not respond to Russia-Ukraine war. And I started capturing changes on people's pages or some on Russian organization pages. So what I would like to talk about today is our activity last half a year, probably period of time, last half a year, because I've been reporting about this activity for a few times, and this is what we have done in last fall and this winter. And those are the points I would like to talk about. So Russian Bazaar at the Russian Orthodox Church, St. John the Baptist, Russian Cultural Center activity, the activity of Washington Balalaika Society, our protest against, not protest now, our remembrance of Holodomor, commemoration at St. John's Russian Orthodox Church, Russian New Year celebration protest, the protest against imposter theater, State Ballet Theater of Ukraine, and two last bullet points is about Russian themed activity or events at Kennedy Center. And this is probably the most troubling one. So I just would like to start with our biggest event that happened in October 2024. This is our second protest against Russian Bazaar. And we are not we are not against Russian people who are Ukraine supporters and supporting Ukrainian army, but we are against Russian themed events that shows Russia in a positive way. So if the event is to display Russia in a positive way, to show how great its culture is, it means it's propagandistic event. And one of those events was performed at the Russian Orthodox Cathedral, St. John the Baptist, in October 2024. It's a yearly event. And this year we came more prepared. With my friends, we prepared T-shirts, we prepared installations like I showed here at the slide, with broken shoes and toys and red coloring and books. We prepared lots of slogans and posters, and some of them were just to question people why they're coming to this church, or question people who they are. If they say like this one, this was prepared by one of our activists, and it said, "Papa, why are we killing Ukrainians?" The son asked dad, right? And the dad replies, "We are not, son. We are not killing Ukrainians." And then the son goes, then who kills Ukrainians? And the answer is Russians. And then the son goes, and who are we? This poster is to question people, their identity and their stance on Russia-Ukraine war. And also to raise a question about collective responsibility, of course. So we prepared, one of our activists prepared the website. You can actually go Google it and find it. It's called kgbchurch.org. And he made a big poster about it, so people can go and see what's on it. And on that website, he explained how this church helps Putin's propaganda. And we posted pictures on that website. We posted evidence of propaganda supporting events. So for myself, I was inspired by one of the activists from New York, Ganka Smirnova, who wore a Russian outfit with kokoshnik and sarafan in blood. And I colored my face into three colors, white, blue, and red, as the Russian flag, so that people can actually distinguish whom I am representing. And this outfit represents Mother Russia. And I had a megaphone with a voice talking about how people on West are fooled by this Mother Russia myth that is actually covering war crimes, but not representing the true values, the true humanistic Russia, which is not right, which is not true. So I created this poster. This is a picture from my post on the Facebook, and that got very big momentum. That post and that outfit get very big momentum, very big response. And people who were coming to this bazaar, they were puzzled how to picture us, because if they would picture us to show that we are silly people or clones or people, handicapped people, they would say, look at those Ukrainians, they are crazy. But those Ukrainians were actually wearing their Russian costume, and that will make it impossible for them to post it. So that was the case. Here are some other pictures of this event. Some other activists who displayed T-shirts with events. And during this war in Mariupol, the bombing of Mariupol happened in a theater, and the theater had a word "Дети," kids, and that theater was bombed despite of this warning that there are kids hidden, right, for safety. So this is how this bazaar looked like. Lots of people coming, and what is the most important, I do not believe we can really impact Russian people who come there and who believe in their propaganda. But what our target, what our goal is to impact American people who come to these bazaars, and to explain to them that supporting this church, it means supporting Russian Federation, Russian state, and Russian propaganda narratives. So it's been a successful event because we happened to come two days in a row. We had lots of sirens, air sirens, Ukrainian hymn, Ukrainian songs, and during the 2 days of bazaar, that was the purpose of the bazaar was to show, to display in Russia propagandistic narratives, how Americans support Russian culture. This bazaar was messed up with our sirens. So during live broadcast, this church was trying to broadcast the bazaar to Russia, to Moscow. And during the broadcasting, from time to time, there were sirens, Ukrainian hymn, Ukrainian music. So they literally could not broadcast it as they expected. So we managed to mess it up pretty well, to crash the party. So what I would like to show, so next slide is, I tried to show a few pictures of the priests, and one of them, the main character is Viktor Potapov, here on the right. He used to work for Voice of America, and he used to be, people say, quotation marks, normal person, but I haven't had any communication with him ever in my life. But in 2017 or so, the church changed their direction and they started bringing Russian narratives more and more. And this, the person had, Viktor Potapov has, about him, there were a lot of articles how he actually serves Russian propaganda. So the character on above him is just a person who helped this bazaar. He was very aggressive against me. I know I kind of broke the law a little bit, not in the sense that I was did it intentionally. I didn't do it intentionally. It was just my because I didn't know. I crossed the property line, so I was on a property. I tried to reach with my megaphone. I tried to reach bigger audience with my megaphone, air sirens, and so all those voices. And I couldn't do that. I should be staying on a public street only. And because I crossed the line of the property, right? So I was on property. This person I didn't like it, and he was very aggressive towards me. And he stepped out from his table and tried to push me from the hill. So I was about to fall from the hill. So unfortunately, I didn't capture any video, but I captured his face and his very aggressive manners over here. So on the left, you can see another person from the church, another priest, or so this guy. You see two pictures. First picture I took myself, and second picture was taken by another priest, by the professional photographer, who took it in a way that I look like crazy, maybe. They took it specifically multiple times to select that picture on which I will be with closed eyes or with open mouth, speaking and looking ugly, right? So this is the exact pictures they posted on their website. They didn't take pictures of us in normal way. They only posted pictures of us like in a negative way. So another story about this priest who stands right next to me. He asked me what will happen if he will pour water on speakers that I was holding right next to me. I said, well, it's my property. You can't really damage it. It's illegal to damage my property. And because just while I was talking to him and I didn't look below, he actually poured water on my speaker. And after that, I looked at it and I said, hey, there is water and it's not mine. His reply was made me really puzzled, and I'm glad I captured it. His reply was, it's not water, it's you peed on speaker. So he tried to blame me in a very, very, I wouldn't say funny way, in a very ugly way that speaker has some liquid, right? So it was literally provocation. It was water that he poured. So this was a story about this church protest against Russian Bazaar church. I would like to show you one or two videos. Let's see how much time we have. This at least one video would be very helpful to see. I hope it will open. Yeah. So sorry. So please let me know if it's visible. I know it's small screen, but if it's visible, if you hear the voice over
it's visible, but you need to make sound heard.
Sound. How do I make sound?
In the share screen, there's a button that says share computer sound.
Share sound. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me. So it's 4 minutes. I can cut it half, so we don't need to watch all of it. Okay, but this is a rolic from Voice of America that actually finally came to our protest and captured the protest for social media.
Show us the whole thing. Yes.
вздовж тієї вулиці з гаслом Russia is a terrorist state, Russia kills Ukrainian children. Деякі люди казали, американці підходили і казали, дякую вам за те, що ви виказуєте свою позицію. Але були, я так думаю, що це російські американці, які казали, що я не маю права тут стояти, що для дітей це дуже травматично чути сирени. Але, вибачте, кожен божий день українські діти чують сирени, і майже кожного дня російські ракети вбивають українських дітей. Спочатку приходить російська культура з Пушкіним, Лермонтовим, Тургенєвим, з балетами, з піснями і тим інше, а потім приходить Путін з танками.
Stop honoring Kirill, who blesses missiles aimed at Ukrainian civilians, aimed at hospitals, aimed at residential apartment buildings, killing children. Stop stealing Ukrainian children and indoctrinating them and brainwashing them into thinking that their parents don't want them. Oh, they say they're against war, but they don't support Ukraine. They don't talk about the fact that Russia invaded Ukraine.
So, I've cut it short. So this was the episode on social media, posted on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, Voice of America, Russian division and Ukrainian division. It get pretty viral. Unfortunately, there were no article about our protest, but at least we had some evidence that we had some media coverage, and that was very, good, successful protest. I believe so. So there were a few other moments between us and church supporters, and one of them was attempt to steal our speakers. So people from church or people hired by the church actually attempted to steal our speaker. But since we had policemen on site, the thief was caught right away. So let's see, it's a 3-minute video. I can also cut it short, but I would like for you to see just a few minutes of it.
Is this going national?
Which I'm like, okay, convenient.
Look at that kind of something just stole her suitcase.
Wait, what? Oh.
Is that her suitcase or his?
Oh, shit.
Captured by the camera on the body camera. So the front vision.
Under different circumstances. How you doing?
Better and better.
Good. Thank God. Just these clowns
So
over
this
here
is
that
this
posted
was
up
our
over
speaker,
there,
and this was the thief.
harassing people.
And he actually got scared that we will press charges against him. He backed up and he gave that speaker right away to us. And we thought about pressing charges, but something stopped us because it's you never know how they will come. They know our names and they can come after us. So we decided not to do anything, not to press charges. So this was our Russian protest against Russian bazaar. Next stop, I would like to talk about Russian Cultural Center that is linked to Russian embassy, and the people who manage the center are hired by Russian Federation. Those are diplomats and diplomatic mission people. So they used to post their advertisement about the events or publicly on social media. One of them, we have access to Telegram channel, and they used to post it normally, like everybody will do, and we realized that we can actually impact those that center and impact those events. Why do we want to come? Is because whatever event was in that center, it was all linked to propaganda. So trying to trying to invite people to Russian Cultural Center, it was only people who loyal to Russian Federation, and people who come there, they bring their kids, all they will be listening Russian propaganda. So we decided that it's time to come and speak about it. And me and my friend Olga, we had a plan, we had all our posters ready, and we had our air sirens and Ukrainian songs, and we came and we had our we didn't even scream anything. I had megaphone, and I recorded some slogans that are here: no space for Kremlin agents in the United States, or no war, no lies, no Russian spies. So I recorded it on megaphone, and it was successfully broadcasted during the event. And the event started at 7 p.m. and ended up like 7:50 p.m. because people could not listen their movie. They couldn't follow the movie because it was so loud. Our protest was so loud. So it was very successful one. After that, they stopped advertising publicly the events. But we follow indirectly what is happening over there. We know, we make a note for next year when to come and when to impact the events. Okay, so next one is Washington Balalaika Society. This society was started or it was established even before Soviet Union collapse or right after. So it was long time ago infiltrated Russian Russophilic society with balalaika and Russian music. Started very long time ago to demonstrate American people who doesn't have critical thinking against Russian imperialistic culture, that Russian culture is a great thing and it's like every other culture in the world. However, once the full-scale invasion of Ukraine happened, this society and this musical, group, they tried to demonstrate their support for Ukraine in a very specific way. Their advertisement, this is the first statement, exactly what they have on their website. Washington Balalaika Society condemns the invasion of Ukraine and supports its sovereignty. And they never said that it is Russian invasion of Ukraine. So this statement was on their website for 2.5 years till the moment we came third time. We had 3 protests against their, behavior and against their activity. And I wrote with my own hand, with marker, on their statement that it is a Russian invasion, and they should change the statement on their website and on their booklets and all on their statements everywhere they go. So another thing they had is they had a box, and the box was it seems to be for donations for Ukrainian kids, but the statement on that box was very aligned with Kremlin's propaganda. They called, please donate, save children, Ukraine crisis. So it's like absolutely misleading. There is no Ukraine crisis. There is Russian invasion of Ukraine. And the crisis is created by someone. It didn't happen by itself like earthquake. So those things we keep following their pages, keep following what they're doing. When we came third time for the third protest, they already had 3 big Ukrainian flags. They knew I'm coming, and they created it. They try to please me, so I will be happy with what they're doing, but I still wasn't happy because they never said Russian, and I added to the statement the word Russian. So what happened next? They actually changed their statement on the website. You can see this was original website statement without the word Russian, and this is after our protest. They added it. So what else? How we impacted their activity? They finally took off their imperialistic outfits, and they didn't wear sarafans and kasavarotkas at their concert. But they were just looking like normal musicians with some normal outfits, musical outfits, classical. So, however. So we believe that, we thank them, we exchange actually email communication and social media communication. We thank them for changes. However, 2 months ago, there was another event in Washington, D.C. And that event is organized by a separate group called Washington Ball. I forgot. I'm sorry. The Russian Ball of Washington. Yes, of Washington, D.C. I apologize for incorrect statement. So this is the group of the Russian Ball of Washington. They organize these balls for many, many years. They claim themselves white Russians. They are patronaged by the Romanovs family. However, Romanovs family was linked to Putin's Russia already, and we do not believe their statements on the website. So what happened during this Russian Balls of Washington, D.C.? It happened in January. Here we go. Washington Balalaika Society came to please them with the Russian music, wearing kasavarotkas and sarafans, and playing the music God Save the Tsar. So should we believe them in the changes on the website, supporting Ukraine, commemorating Ukraine's sovereignty, and fully supporting Ukraine? Or they are actually supporting Russian culture in Washington, D.C., and all the events organized by groups linked to Russian Federation? Yes, they are connected to embassy. They are connected to other groups that are linked to Russian Federation. So we will come again for the protest in spring 2025. Another event, just to remind other people about Holodomor, that is recognized as genocide by 32 countries. We decided to come and remind people who come to Russian church that Holodomor was real and it was a genocide. And we were just very nice and asking them nicely, would they pray for victims of Holodomor? We got very, very different responses. Most of them was positive. We gave people 5 wheat strings with yellow and blue ribbons. So it was not possible to avoid discussions about Holodomor inside church. We didn't enter the church, but I believe that those wheat strings were initiators of the conversation. So it was a successful event. So next one, I would like to show you. That was my solo protest. That was my first solo protest. I decided that it's time to remind people in Washington, D.C., Russian diaspora, Russian community, that war is ongoing, and kids have privilege to celebrate New Year in Washington, D.C. However, Ukrainian kids do not have that privilege because they were killed by Russian army. So I came and I brought my posters, and I said that 600 Ukrainian kids will not celebrate Christmas and New Year this year since they were killed by Russian army. And I brought a poster about demolished cities of Ukraine. And I had an air siren. And after an hour of my protest, a police was called and police cars arrived. for myself as one solo protester, there were 3 police cars, and they said that I actually cannot stay here because it's private property. But I had an hour of protest. That was enough for me to demonstrate my attitude and the Ukrainian activist attitude towards Russian New Year celebration for kids. Why I came? I didn't come just because I didn't like Russian people celebrate New Year. That's fine. Everybody has the right to celebrate their own holidays. However, this group, which is called Zabava, helped during Russian Bazaar. They were performing at Russian Bazaar at Russian Orthodox Church. And because they were performing over there, Russian propaganda news, Russian media actually used their name for their, so they literally helped propaganda to demonstrate how American people appreciate Russian culture. That's why I came, because their name got into RIA Novosti, RIA News. Okay, so next one was the recent protest against impostor theater. That is not honest group. They are using name of Ukraine. They are using flag of Ukraine. They claim themselves state ballet theater of Ukraine. However, they are not government-sponsored cultural organization of Ukraine, and it was confirmed by by Ukrainian embassy and by the theater of Strasbourg at Bethesda added this statement to their website. So we came to show people that they're paying money to the imposter theater that makes money on Ukraine's tragedy, and they are promoting Russian culture. It was a Swan Lake ballet. The protest wasn't very successful. We realized that protests like this doesn't make much impact. What do makes impact is social media, information spreading, and emailing the theaters and connecting theaters with Ukrainian embassy and with the truthful information. That helps. That makes impact. But live and learn. So we are learning too how to be activists. Two more bullet points I would like to cover before the end. This is upcoming event. Me and other Ukrainian activists, we started recognizing that there is way bigger activity on cultural activity in Washington, D.C., especially at Kennedy Center. And one of the, I made a list of 6 Russian-themed events, and one of them caught my biggest attention is a performance of Putin supporter Nikolai Lugansky. So I brought here 2 pictures. One of them is announcement of our protest, which will be held at Kennedy Center entrance on Sunday, February 9th. And the second picture is to show how people in Milan, in La Scala Theater, react to similar performance of Nikolai Lugansky. They created huge banner to show killed Ukrainian artists, and they came, they gathered as a community to demonstrate their protest against such performances that legalize Russian culture and Russian war crimes. So this is upcoming. And another thing I would like to show that a lot of people started mentioning on social media activity, Russian-themed events at Kennedy Center. One of them was National Symphony Orchestra would like to celebrate Russian Maslenitsa, and on the website, the announcement, they made it with an absolutely propagandistic statement, from Russia with love. So that created a big fuss on social media. So those were, few our comments. And because we made it such a big deal, the Kennedy Center actually changed the announcement. They took out that from Russia with Love. Russian Love disappeared from the Kennedy Center website, and but they removed the post on Facebook, but the event is ongoing, and our protests are ongoing as well. So I have this is it from me. I can stop sharing, and I will be welcoming your questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maryna. This is marvelous and a great mosaic of images and stories. Please, I open panel for our viewers and questions and comments. Please, everyone, don't be shy. We see enormous infiltration as 3 years of war and everything goes on. These people do not stop.
No.
Katerina.
A comment. It's actually very, very smart I'm thinking too where the first event you talked about, the protest at the church, and the fact that the church was trying to stream the event back to Russia. It is incredibly effective. I would imagine it had to make an impact to see that Americans, Ukrainians, that people in the United States were protesting this. I mean, that had to be a powerful statement. Anybody in Russia watching this attempt to broadcast this joyous festival instead sees people standing up for Ukraine. That's very powerful. It's very powerful. I don't know. I don't even know if you knew they intended to broadcast, but just that's very effective. I would imagine. Not only does it take the sail out of the wind out of the sails of the actual event, but it reminds people in Russia that the world is protesting this horrible war. I also think it takes an awful lot of courage to do what you do, especially like to dress up like this. That was the image of you with the "I'm Mother Russia, I kill, I rape, I steal," and incredibly powerful, incredibly powerful. It reminds me at other protests, I think we've seen a woman posing as blood-drenched Russia. And again, a very powerful visual protest. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your willingness to put yourself out there. The fact that the priest spilled water on your speaker and then made that very uncouth comment just kind of shows you how effective you're being. You're definitely effective. Thank you for your
Thank you very much. Thank you
when
very much.
When you prepare for this, do you like what does it take to go put yourself out there like this, especially the solo protest? Like I cannot imagine. Well, maybe I could. I don't know. No, I don't think I'm impressed that you are so dedicated and so passionate to this that you are willing to walk into a room full of people who disagree with you and so graphically and visually make your statement. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you for good words. Thank you for nice words. Well, I can say one thing. The more you do it, the more experience you get. This is first. And second, I came today, just private information. I came today to see a doctor, and she said, "Are you still doing all this activism? Maybe you should stop. Maybe you should take care of yourself." Like I said, well, of course, I would like to stop. Who on earth would like to do all ugly stuff? But it's not me who is creating those reasons to protest. It's not me. It's Russian propaganda works their butts out to push their agenda. So we have to counteract. I can't stop. I would rather stop and go ice skating with my son and do more stuff for myself and for my family. But I put everything on hold, do it, every other time. But I make it a priority. The activism, I made a priority because I don't see too many people doing it, first of all. And I see very big need for that. And speaking about courage, I am fearless. After 3 years of fighting Russian people and Russian narratives, I'm fearless. The only thing I can say that I got very good advice from another activist when someone triggered my emotions at the Russian bazaar. I got triggered one time. Yes, I remember that. And he said, Maryna, don't answer, don't reply, don't do anything, don't go emotionally. Just say Slava Ukraini. That was it. So every time people tried to talk to me, oh, what are you wearing? You look ugly. Go do plastic surgery. Why are you wearing Russian outfit? You're promoting Russian culture. I said, Slava Ukraini, and carry on. That was it.
Wow, impressive. Thank you. Thank you for giving voice to those who can't speak for themselves, especially all the children that Ukraine has lost. Thank you very much. I see Anara has got her hand up.
Nara, please.
Yeah, I really appreciate that you sharing your successful initiatives. You're demonstrating very interesting creativity. And I myself in DC, I can understand better what you imply. I have been in many places, including Russian Center, Cultural Center in the past before war. It was totally different when we actually see the real artists coming. And it's very painful to see how everything transforms. So that's why I imagine everything. I see familiar places. I live in Bethesda, so that's why I fully understand you. And I understand how it is important for the people in bigger Washington to see that's actually initiatives. And my question is, tell us about your future agenda projects, your ideas, because each time you create something new, involve more people, and it is quite interesting activities.
Well, okay, thank you for the question. First of all, when we had this last protest at Russian Bazaar, it took us a month to prepare, right? It took me and two of my girlfriends, of my colleagues of activists, to prepare, to think through it, to do the T-shirts, to do banners and stuff. So when we had that event, we were doing it so actively. We were using all our energy on those 2 days that few of us say, hey, let's do it so good so we don't have to come next year. But unfortunately, we will have to come next year. So I do not particularly have ideas how to change next year protest. It might be similar something. We might reuse something. We might reuse outfits, but we'll bring new slogans about propaganda, about disinformation, about victim blaming. Now we see a lot of victim blaming on the West countries, right? Instead of saying, oh yes, it was unprovoked Russian invasion of Ukraine, we hear statements when people actually blaming Ukraine for bringing war, for wearing a wrong dress so that the aggressor can attack you, right? So we will create statements about victim blaming, propaganda, disinformation, and I hope to just bring more people and make an announcement more often on social media so more people come. However, I can say that not everybody can actually do such protests. Not everybody can be useful over there, because I've seen a family coming, say, okay, we will come, we will support your protest, but then they will be shy and they will not be able to speak to people. You actually need to come and be proactive and speak to people. Speak to Russian people. We try to do it in English. Speak to American people calmly, nicely, without any aggression. Explain why we are here. So we will continue doing it. I don't foresee much changes in Russian church behavior in United States. I see some movements in Europe, in Euro Union. I see some new laws or new documents that will make people fight propaganda and that will make illegal to make false statements about Ukraine or historical statements, propaganda statements. So I see law enforcement in Europe about it. I do not see it, unfortunately, in United States yet, right? So I don't foresee changes in Russian Orthodox Church in the United States at the moment. However, I also can add that there were recently, maybe a few months ago, there was a conference in Washington, D.C. about propaganda, about Russian Church impact in propaganda narratives distribution. So the more conferences like this, the more evidence we gather. It's not only that people make false statements and distribute propaganda. We need to also dig into the illegal actions of the church. We need to dig into what they do wrong by the United States law, right? If they do some illegal actions, then we can go against them and do some, make an impact. Just because they spread propaganda, it's a weak case. We cannot really impact those churches. We cannot sanction them. Thank you.
Thank you, Maryna. I see the guest raising his hand. Pan Yevhen, if we know you, please show yourself.
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm not. Can you hear me? First of all,
Yes.
We can hear but not see you.
I can't. I'm not really in a position. The baby's sleeping in another room, so I'm not really in a position to show myself right now. That's why I'm speaking a little low. So I have a question about. So when you talk about Russian people and kind of protest against the Russian culture and all of that, how do you vet Russian people that are for Ukraine and against Ukraine? So because there are a lot of Russian people that are for Ukraine and they want to help. Then another question is are you open to working with Russian organizations that are for Ukraine and support Ukraine and gather money and send money and help to Ukraine? And then if you open to working with them, then how would you negotiate the problem of them being the carriers of the Russian culture? Because even though they may be for Ukraine and they're helping and they're even I know a lot of Russians that are in Ukraine, but they're still Russian, so they're carriers of a Russian culture. How would you negotiate that problem? Because they're still Russian culture. They're not Ukrainian culture, but they're basically on the right side. So that was my question.
Great question. Thank you very much for it. First of all, I do communicate with Russian people a lot here in Washington, D.C. I try to keep distance. This is my first rule. I try not to be their intimate friend. I'm trying not to be best friend, right? But I